Hey guys, this is Lisa from NYC Gal Out. Welcome back to my channel. We are talking Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But before I get into that, guys, I totally bombed my TMC segment today. So if you guys are wondering, like, oh, it looks like she has makeup on. I do. So I was supposed to be on TMC today for their segment on Amy Winehouse. So British singer Amy Winehouse, she passed away in 2011 at the age of 27. And her ex-husband, he basically popped up out of nowhere 15 years later, currently in 2026. And he went on a podcast saying that it's not his fault. He's not responsible for her passing and her drug use and whatever else. My whole entire thing is, though, like, who is even this guy? I've never heard of him. I had to hop onto Google to even like find out who he is. And this guy's claim to fame is basically being married to Amy Winehouse during the last few years of her life where she was really spiraling. So I'm going to save everybody a Google search. For those of you who don't know, he's basically the UK version of Kevin Federline. There you have it, okay? That's who he is. He is the UK version of Kevin Federline. Anyway, I was so nervous. I was supposed to wait for the producer to go so that I could start talking. But it was very nerve-wracking because I saw Harvey right on my screen, my phone screen, and he's talking and, you know, my face is up there, but I guess while the producer was saying go, I don't know if she was saying it too low, but it was also in the TMC newsroom with Harvey talking and stuff and other people walking around. I couldn't really be sure who was talking to me and I kind of missed my cue. And it was very like nerve-wracking, I feel like, but hopefully I can make up for this missed opportunity next Wednesday instead. But yeah, it is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was like going to be a piece of cake. I talk to my camera all the time on my phone. And no, it's not like that. I don't know if it was just because it's TMC or if it's because I saw Harvey's face alive on my camera. It made me anxious or nervous or whatever. Whatever it was, my nerves got the best of me. I couldn't hear her say go. Anyway. But let's get to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Okay, so the ladies, they are in Italy. Bose, she hosts like an opera for the ladies. They all love it. Jennifer Tilly, she says that her mom was an opera singer, so she's really into it. All the other ladies are into it except for Amanda. It shows Amanda on her phone, on her tablet, whatever. She's not paying attention. I thought that was really rude because, like, even if you're not into it, you could have faked it. You could have pretend. Sutton Strack Brown. Now, she wasn't into it either, but Sutton, she was, like, at least pretending, you know? Because in her confessional, Sutton's like, it actually puts me to sleep. But girl, I wouldn't have known unless you said that at the confessional because you at least pretend like you were into it. Amanda, she couldn't even pretend, so I thought that was really rude of her. Speaking of rude, though, Dorit, she was late to the opera. You didn't even have to travel. All you had to do was come downstairs and you were still late. So that makes me feel like, Dorit, you're entitled. One of the things that is so disrespectful in a work environment, doesn't matter if it's McDonald's, corporate America, whatever. One of the most disrespectful things that you can do in a professional setting is being late. And I'm not talking about a few minutes late. She has been known to be like an hour, 2 hours late. That's ridiculous. Anything more than 15 minutes is already way too late. And she didn't even have to go anywhere. She just had to go downstairs and she was still late. Erica had to go upstairs to go get her. So I thought that was extremely disrespectful. And then she tried to play it off when Amanda wanted to talk to her. And she's like, okay, well, let's talk after dinner because, you know, Bose, she went through all of this and she put on this beautiful dinner and whatever. I don't want to be rude and hold up dinner. Like, girl, you were already being rude. Every single time you guys have an event, you're already rude because you're the one that's always late. So she was saying that, and I kind of felt like she was saying that to kind of play up to the cameras because, like, girl, what are you even talking about? Erica had to go up there to get you. And Erica, she was like, no, come on, Dorit. Like, seriously, everybody's waiting. Because you could tell she was probably like, oh, just a few minutes. And you could hear it in Erica's tone and her voice. She's like, no, for real, let's go. Everybody's waiting. So that is so rude of her to do that. And I don't know how Bose can deal with her. All I got to say is that if Bose was her boss, that is either a write-up or a termination, because that is not something that I could see both being okay with in a work environment. Because your excuse all those other times was that you couldn't find your passport, PK and the kids, your nanny, traffic, all this other stuff. Like, girl, you were in the villa with no kids. You didn't need your driver's license, your passport, your whatever. So what is your excuse now? And that was just like so incredibly rude. So I had to call her out for that. The rest of the episode was basically centered around like the last 15 minutes of the episode. They sit down to have the dinner. And Amanda, this was like where she lost me a little bit, because Amanda is the one that brings up to Dorit, oh, you talked about me being in a cult. And Dorit's like, yeah, like I want to know about it. And she's like, oh, okay, so we're going to talk about the cult. Like, girl, what the hell are you talking about? You are the one that brought it up to Dorit. Like, yes, Dorit brought it up a few episodes back at another dinner, but you're the one currently sitting at that dinner, at that villa. You bring it up. So then what do you mean you're saying, oh, okay, so you want to talk about that now? You brought it up. And like Dorit even says, like, well, you brought it up. I'm starting to really see how a lot of audience don't like Amanda. I've been giving her the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'm critical of everyone. So, like everybody gets it. I'm just like, okay, Amanda, you're really starting to lose me. And I'm really starting to see how the majority of the audience, they find you so annoying, because it's just stuff like that. It's like, what are you talking about, girl? But anyway, so Dorit's like, well, it wasn't that hard to find. I Googled Amanda Francis, and she was saying, you claim that you sold all of these books and all this other stuff. So I Googled you. And she's like, well, how did you get cult? Because it doesn't come up. And Bose is yes, it does. I love that Bose, she is a friend like that. I could never, because I would be like, girl, why are you so late to my event? But Bose, she's a better person than I am, because she was still there for Dorit at that table. And she's been there for Dorit, and Rachel too. Even Kathy Hilton. Kathy was like, well, if I found somebody annoying, I'd probably do a deep dive on them too. It wasn't even a deep dive, because like, Amanda, you said it yourself that you're the one that put that information out there. Like, to me, a deep dive is like, if you got to go get court records, you got to go freaking find people from like 20 years ago who knew you in high school. You got to go digging up through like old accounts. She didn't do any of that. By your own admission, you said that you're the one that put it into your blog. So you just Google Amanda Francis and your blog comes up. That's not exactly digging for information. She's not doing any of that. She basically just read your damn blog. And she's like, well, you went back 347 pages. And Dorit's like, it's not 347 pages, but okay, whatever. Like, you put it up there. I kind of zoned out a little bit. I felt like Erica was trying to be a little bit supportive, because she says to Amanda, she's like, why don't you tell everyone how you got into the cult? So she talks about that and whatever. Anyway, and then Amanda, she's in her confessional saying, oh, well, Dorit gave me a great idea to basically write about my experience in the cult. Capitalism, whatever, girl. Like, anyway, I already said she claims to be a bestseller. And I said, I was always a little suspicious that she says bestseller instead of New York Times bestseller. Because usually when people are that kind of prestige, that kind of bestseller, they always lead with New York Times bestseller. She didn't leave off with any of that. She said bestseller. So I looked to see where her book is. Her book is self-published. It's on Amazon, and it is listed as #1 in a very niche category. It is listed as a bestseller on Amazon under women entrepreneur or women in business or whatever. That is a very niche category. That is like saying that I am a bestseller in Bravo Housewives for military spouses. That is not even in other outlets. It's on Amazon. And listen, Amazon is a multi-company, so I'm not knocking it. But when you have such a niche category, it is not the same as being #1 on the New York Times. And forget about #1. It's not even the same as being a New York Times bestseller. It's not even equivalent to being a top Google Reads book. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I digress. So Dorit, she's basically saying, like, listen, if you're telling me once and I've already heard your opinion, then, that's you being a friend. But if you keep on saying it over and over again, now you're just doing damage. You're no longer being a good friend because I've already heard you. I'm paraphrasing. But I felt like she was directing that towards Kyle, and the camera pans to Kyle because it was Amanda and Dorit going back and forth. Kathy probably thought that Dorit was talking about Amanda instead. And Kathy is like, if you don't really know someone, you really shouldn't have that sort of opinion. You need to be able to read the room and know your place. So that was a little bit shocking, and that's basically where the episode ends off. Now, I will say, though, it's not that big of a deal that she had that opinion about PK and whatever. I already said that I think this all stems from her one-upping, right? And instead of just being happy for Dorit when she announced her book, because remember, when Dorit announced her book, all the other ladies, they were literally clapping their hands and chanting, book deal, book deal, book deal. Watch that episode, literally, not figuratively speaking, literally clapping and chanting, book deal, book deal. She was the only one who wasn't, and instead she was like, oh, do you have a ghostwriter? I wrote my own book. So it was very weird. She obviously was feeling whatever. Maybe she's just the type of person who does that, like we all know people like that. We all know people who always have to insert themselves. Whatever it is that you do, it could be anything. It's like they're the best. They're number one. They did it already. They do it better, whatever. So I think that is where it stems from, not this PK, whatever. I think Dorit was insulted, offended, whatever. Maybe that's why you feel this energy, Amanda, because Dorit got a book deal and you're self-published, which means that you did not get a book deal. Let me tell you, anybody can self-publish on Amazon. It is very easy. And self-publishing on Amazon means that a book is printed when somebody actually buys it. So there's no overhead cost like there is with a book deal. Now, with a book deal, if you get an actual book deal with a publisher, you usually have to do promos and they send you out to do podcasts and interviews and whatever else. Now, I don't know what publishing house gave Dorit that book deal, but it sounds like how Amanda is always reminding the audience that she's the breadwinner. That's her house. She paid for it. She makes more money than her significant other and whatever else. This is very similar. She wants to let everybody know that she wrote her own book. She's a bestseller, not mentioning the fact that she's a bestseller only on Amazon under a very niche category, but whatever. And I think it's the fact that she doesn't have a book deal. Now, going back to the whole Dorit of it all, she's saying something to Dorit like, well, I do have like an informed input in it because, I've seen how this affects children of divorces and whatever. And the ladies kind of all come to Dorit's defense. Even Natalie, who I forgot was even on this trip. I don't even know why Natalie was invited. We've seen this woman for like a hot 5 seconds, but Natalie was even like, yeah, but she's not saying negative things to the kids about PK. She's saying it to us. I mean, yeah, she's saying it to us and, to the freaking TV screen. I get what her position on this is, and what Natalie even brought up was like, yeah, but she's not saying this to her kids. She's saying it to us and whatever, but she's not saying negative things about PK to her kids. And that is a very important distinction, because I myself was like, you know what? That is a very valid point. And Natalie knows, because she's going through a divorce herself. She's married to that guy, Simon. Not Simon Cowell, the other one, Simon Fuller. I get those Simons confused. But Rachel and Bose, they also bring up like really important points, which is that you're not their therapist. You don't know PK or the kids or Dorit. Even if you have clinical experiences with stuff like this, you are not in a position to make any sort of assessment about them because you've never sat with them. But forget about psychiatrists, even psychologists. That is one of the ethical things that they tell you not to do, is to not diagnose people that you have never treated. So you can't go around labeling people narcissists or personality disorders, or you think this or that or the other or whatnot. Listen, she's not a practicing therapist, right? She's saying that she has this informed opinion, whatever. Now, the next day though, Sutton Strack Brown and Kyle Richards, okay, they were being messy AF. Sutton sitting there and was like, you need to stick your ground, really use your voice. Kyle is like hyping Amanda up, like, yeah, that was like, kind of aggressive for Dorit to attack you. She didn't say attack, but I feel like they were hyping Amanda up, egging her on, wanting to have a confrontation with Amanda and Dorit. They are so messy. I saw through it. I was like, what are those two clowns doing? Especially Sutton. What the hell was that? But Kyle, she was being messy too, because she was egging her on just as much as Sutton was. They definitely want Amanda to have a confrontation with Dorit, right? But you know what, Kyle? She's been accused of being a producer for multiple seasons now, okay? Multiple seasons, and we definitely see it in this scene. That's basically the recap. I can't really think of any other scenes that were really important, whatever. But speaking of Amanda Francis, that girl, I can't remember her name because I don't watch the show, but Selling Sunset on Netflix, she was one of the realtors. She hopped onto her TikTok recently, and she was basically saying, like, yeah, Amanda, you wanted to get on the show Selling Sunset. She wanted to appear on an episode or whatever. And then, you know, basically she was showing her receipts saying like, oh yeah, this girl saying that she fired me. Like, no, look, this is, you know, my receipt. You could read through it, whatever. And basically she's saying that Amanda really didn't have any intent of seriously using her to be her realtor. She just did it because she wanted to be on an episode of Selling Sunset or whatever. Even if you just follow this drama like that, you've already seen the TikTok video, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, guys, that's it. Wish me good luck next week. I'm supposed to have a redo of my missed opportunity today and next Wednesday. So hopefully it goes a little bit better, but definitely not as easy as I thought. I think it also had a lot to do with my nerves, which was not unsurprising to me, but I was surprised at how nervous I am because with my videos, I do edit them. I don't like going live just for the fact that I do like editing my videos so that I'm not repeating the same thing. I'm not stuttering, whatever. I'm not at a loss for words. But it was definitely a lot harder than I thought.